The Pink Pulpits Podcast, the gospel according to her. The Pink Pulpits Podcast explores the living, learning, and leading of women in the 21st century. How does the modern woman handle the world the gospel way? This podcast is for women in ministry, women surrounded by ministry, and so many more. Join us weekly on Saturdays at 6 p.m. for the Pink Pulpits Podcast, the gospel according to her.
Hey, welcome to another edition of the Pink Pulpit Podcast. And today I want to have a conversation with you about checking the receipt and where did you make the exchange? Because you are making an exchange. And the question is, was it worth it? Welcome back to the Pink Pulpit Podcast. I'm Lady Nicole Green, and this is where life is a pulpit, the gospel according to her. And every woman has a voice, a calling, and a responsibility to what I would say preach her life well. This is not just a podcast. This is real women with real life and real situations that want to hear a faith lens of how I live it. And this is really where faith gets practical, where purpose gets activated, and we start living what we say we believe. Because I really do believe every woman that's watching, and even our gents, you have a pulpit, whether it's your home, your business, relationships, or even your process of healing. What you say, what you believe, and what you release from that place really determines how you will live. So if you're ready to really, what I say, stop surviving, stop settling, and start stepping into everything that God has already said is yours, I want to get into it with you today. So, if you've been rocking with me all month, you know it's Women's History Month, right? Then you already know that this whole month, I'm not really talking about celebrating weak women. We are really not highlighting watered down faith. We are not clapping for survival and clamping at the bits. We're stepping into what I believe is power and authority, and we're stepping into lives that actually reflect what God has said. We've been really talking about how to live women history lives, and today I believe we're going to deal with something that most people don't want to admit. Because whether you realize it or not, we've already made an exchange. You heard me at the top of the podcast talking about you made an exchange. And the question really is, did you trade up or did you settle down? And as we count down to the purge, and those of you saying, what is the purge? You'll find out as we delve into the conversation. This purge this year is talking about the exchange, where pain is released for promise. And you cannot show up that night. And you're registering. And so continue to register. The purge is free. Text the word purge to the number 317-680-7466 because I really want you to be in the building. But I believe God is asking us to release not just something regular. He's asking us to release what we are willing to trade for our next. Can we really deal with it today? Honestly, I mean, because some of us are saying we want God's promises, but we're still holding on to things that can disqualify us from living really into them. I don't know about you, but I know there are so many women that I've been talking to that try and hold on to things that are no longer serving them, things that are costing them, things that they don't know how to really trade up because they're afraid of really what's around the corner. Can I say this? Don't be scared. Really, don't. You know what's around this corner. I used to tell people all the time, you know what's over here. Today, I want you to turn the corner and really see what lies ahead because I guarantee it's greater, it's better. And for all the purge ladies from last year, it's better, better, and new, new. Can I tell you something right off the bat as we dial into this conversation? Because you're exchanging. The question is, have you traded up? And what's the exchange worth it? You're always trading, even when you're not being intentional. Can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? Romans 1:25 Amplified says it this way. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie. You are never neutral. You're never Switzerland. You are literally always making an exchange. You're either trading faith for fear, trading discipline for comfort, trading obedience for convenience. And here's the problem: most people don't realize what they've traded until they don't like where they ended up. Can I say that again? You didn't just end up here, you traded your way here. I know. Just sit in that for 1 second. You said, I did what? We can talk ourselves into believing I somehow got here by accident. Something other than me caused me to be here. No, lady, you traded your way here. Whether it was your esteem, that bad relationship, not doing the work, that low paying job. Can I talk to you real good this week? Stop lying to yourself. You didn't just end up here. And you keep saying, I don't know how I got here. I do. You traded. You traded. You traded possibilities for simple. You traded laziness for working hard, easy for pushing past what seemed reasonable. You traded Boaz for Tyrone. You get it. Stop trading for less than you deserve. You traded, but you got to trade up and not down. The real question becomes this: you're holding, what are you holding? And is it revealing what you really value? Matthew 6:21 says it this way: where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. You don't protect what you don't value. So if you're holding on to toxic cycles, low level thinking, inconsistent faith, procrastination, excuses, or that's the way it's always been, that's not accidental. That's the value you've placed on certain things. You say you want God's promises, but your life is still protecting your pain. And this is where you've got to get real honest as we head into the purge. What are you currently holding on to that is showing where you're placing your value? What is it that you have gripped onto and you are setting yourself in that place because you have made a decision that I cannot let go of this because I don't even know that I can expect and value more from myself. Today, I want you to literally look at yourself and say, what have I exchanged? What am I holding on to? What am I valuing that doesn't hold that level of value or shouldn't be holding that level of value in my life? Where have you placed value that you should not have placed that value? Today is a day to really recognize, what have I been exchanging? Because God does not force exchanges, He requires them. Isaiah 61:3 says to give them beauty for ashes. God offers an exchange, but you have to release the ashes. Another scripture, Mark 10:21 and 22 says, talking about the rich young ruler, he wanted eternal life, but he wouldn't exchange his possessions. Y'all know the story, right? He says, what must I do to be able to walk with you? And Christ says basically, let go of all of your great value. And he says if the man went away sorrowfully. Because he was saying he had great riches, and he was saying to himself, I don't think that what I'm going to exchange is going to be greater than what I actually own right now. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is most of us are holding on to ashes. We're valuing the ashes, and beauty is on the other side. We're valuing less than what we deserve, and greater is on the other side. And we're walking away sorrowful. Just like the rich young ruler, he had no idea of the power and the greater possession that lied on the other side if he made the exchange. And what I'm telling you today is stop making an exchange for ashes. Stop making an exchange for bozo. Stop making an exchange for something that is way below your privilege. The exchange you're making, is it worth it? Was it worth the exchange? Was it worth what you got in return? And if not, you got to make a decision. Nope, the exchange is not worth it. Because most of us don't want to have the faith necessary, because that's the currency. So now the real question really becomes, faith is the only valid currency for the exchange. Do you really believe that? Hebrews 11:6 says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. Let me make it real plain. If it's not faith, it's not the plan of God. You can't think your way into promise, emotion your way into destiny, wish your way into breakthrough. You have to believe your way there. And let me ask you something real. Is your life right now a reflection of God's promises or your preferences? Is it your routine built on just the faith of God being able to do great things, or the comfort of what I can do by myself? Because if it's not faith, then what exactly have you been building? And this is why the purge is not just an event, it's a divine interruption. And you may have been saying, Lady Nicole, okay, you've been talking about the purge. April 3rd is not about an emotion. The purge, ladies, I want you to be in the building. I don't care if you've been watching me in Tupelo, Mississippi. You need to be in Indianapolis, Indiana on April the 3rd for the purge. Come in that Friday and you can leave right back out Saturday. And you're going to make an exchange. Let me and hear me clearly. You need to let go of what you've been carrying that does not line up with the promise. Pain, fear, past. And at some point, you have to make the exchange. And here's the truth, most people won't tell you. Your future is too expensive for you to be making the level of value exchange that you are. Your next level requires a different level of trading. But the question is, are you finally ready to stop negotiating with what God told you to release? Will you let me declare something over you? And I'm going to do it a little later, but I need you to hear me. You've got to make a new exchange. A new level of responsibility is coming on your life. A new level of determining where you're getting ready to really live. I know there's so much going on, and I'm watching so many people settle into this place of just whatever. I'm watching you. I'm watching you be lethargic and watching you just kind of go through the motions. And it's enough is enough already. You're making an exchange. And is it worth it? Is it worth you not feeling in joy and having the joy of the Lord? Is it worth not being all that God's called you to be? Is it worth where you are? Because the fact of the matter is, I would declare that it's not. You want more, but you have made an exchange with less, and now you're at the place of less. You're knocking on the door of less. You're living less. And you're saying to yourself, I want more. Then make it a different exchange. And those of you that saying, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm in a good groove. You know there's more to you too. You know there's more. And I am determining that my life's mission is to make you make the exchange, release whatever you've got to release so that you can walk in the full till it overflows. So you can have the benefit of what you've been in covenant with. Have you ever watched you have something that you know is worth way more, But you watch somebody make an exchange for something way, way less, just because they were just trying to to do it, to get it done, to get past it, to move on, or literally just didn't want to go through the negotiation, didn't want to go through what you would have to go through to get the greater part of it. And what I'm saying to you today is go make the exchange. I, I do not want to have another woman live less than where you know you were originally designed to live. I was in a conversation with a lady just 2 days ago, and she was talking about someone that we both knew that had went on to be with the Lord. And in that moment, I recognized that there was so much more to this person's life that they didn't live fully into. And I took a responsibility because I'm like, I was in that person's life, and the fact that they didn't go after everything, and here they are. They've received the kingdom of God, and they're in the arms of Jesus, but God has so much more for them here. And what I'm saying to you, God has so much more for you here. And I want you to make a better exchange. If you say, Lady Nicole, what's the conversation about today? Making a better exchange. Whatever level of life you are all are on right now, I want you to make an even greater exchange. If you live in the faith life on steroids, make an even greater exchange. Press yourself to believe even greater. He's like, great. Yes, believe in it even greater. And those of us that say, hey, I know I need to be leveling up, make a greater and better exchange. I don't want you to go to heaven. And it's the story of um, the disciple Paul meets this guy at the gate after he has gone on to heaven, and Paul is standing there looking, and he's like, he's excited to see him, but he's saying, God has so much more for you. And he's walking past all of these rooms that has people's names on them. And he looks up and he sees his name, and he says, is that me? And Paul said, yeah, but you don't want to go through that door. And he said, well, no. I mean, why you my name on the door? Because he's thinking, is that one believer? He said, no, I'm taking you to where you're going to go. He was like, well, why is my name on this door? He said, you don't want to go through that door. And he said, no, Paul, I want to go through the door. And when he opened up the door, he's looking at all of these blessings, all of these promises, all of these things that God wanted to do in his life. And he's looking back at Apostle Paul. He said, why didn't I see all of this? He said, because you didn't make the exchange necessary to get all of it. Who am I talking to today on this podcast? You're walking past destiny moments. You're walking past open doors. You're walking past God's greater. You're walking past it because you've been making exchange with less valued things. Or some of us are not making an exchange at all. Today, what I'm telling you is the exchange that you're making now isn't worth what you have. And if it's not, make a different exchange. Can I declare this over your life? Are you ready for me to declare this over your life? I want to make this declaration over you down and really explain the fact that God has spoken some things that he wants to make happen in your life. It's really, really simple. I declare that you will no longer allow what the enemy has tried to make you believe is not right, not fall happen in your life. I declare that you'll see the greater. I declare that you'll see the open door. I declare that you will see God's hand in every situation and have the boldness to do it and to do it in a way that glories God. I decree and declare that you will see yourself through God's eyes. I decree and declare that you will be the faith ambassador that causes things to happen in your life in a way that you've never experienced before. I decree and declare that you'll make an exchange. I decree and declare that greater will be on the horizon for you. I decree and declare that this is the day that you see that the exchanges that I've been making are not the exchanges that I want for my life, and that you will make a greater exchange, that you'll purge out of your life what's necessary so that you will have the courage to release everything in your life that's not aligned with his promises, that you'll have the courage. You will no longer protect what God has called you to purge, and you will have the faith to receive, because if it's not what God planned, it is not God's plan and purpose in your life. My declaration for you today is that you will no longer settle. You will no longer trade down. You will no longer settle for cheap. You will no longer try to protect yourself, because God is your strong tower. Everything in your life, that it will align and that it will set you on a path to a God encounter like never before, and that God's promises and his plans will fully overtake your life, and that you'll have the faith to do it and do it with joy. That is my declaration for you. This has been the Pink Pulpit Podcast, where we don't just talk faith, we live it boldly, publicly, unapologetically. And I look forward to seeing you at the Purge, April the 3rd. I'm about to say October, and I let you know I'm trying to press y'all past, where we will stop holding on and we will finally make the greater exchange. I want you to check your receipt. What have I been exchanging? What did I trade to be here? You didn't end up here, you traded your way here. So your next is waiting on a greater exchange. It's waiting on your release. This is the Pink Pulpit Podcast. Live unapologetically. And remember, life is a gift. Make the best of yours. Make the exchange. And let's live in faith, on purpose, and watching God perform everything he promised. I'll see you next time.